That was a solid game tonight, and honestly, it might be the best I've felt after a game so far this season. That was great. Also, before I start talking about tonight's game, I don't know what the heck is going on tonight. There are a lot of high scoring games, but this was not one of them actually. Yeah, Thursday, October 23rd, the Ottawa Senators played their 8th game of the regular season against the Philadelphia Flyers. It was the first meeting of the season between these two teams. It was a 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time start time in Ottawa. It was another home game, so the Sens are wrapping up their 4-game homestand, and they ended off on a strong note tonight. So it was Linus Ullmark in net for the Sens, and it was Dan Vladar in net for the Flyers. So the Sens were 2-4-1 coming in, and the Flyers were 3-2-1 coming in. So lineup notes, it's kind of the same thing. Brady Tkachuk is out, obviously, with his thumb injury. And once again, Jordan Spence was scratched tonight. I'm starting to wonder if there's some kind of injury there that we don't know about. Because, like, I know, he's not the best defensively. He's going to make mistakes, as we've seen. But he was tied for the team lead in assists coming into the game, so I don't know why he's not playing. Again, that's why I say, I don't know, like, what the heck do I know? But, like, maybe there is some kind of injury there that I'm not aware of, that we're not aware of, but who knows? But whatever they did tonight, it worked. And again, this was just a solid effort. It was not high scoring. It was kind of low event for the most part, but solid win, solid victory. All right, let's go ahead and break down tonight's game here. So again, solid victory for the Sens. I was impressed. This was honestly pretty impressive. So the Sens end up beating the Flyers by a score of 2-1 in regulation, and the Flyers fall to 3-3-1. The Sens move up to 3-4-1. So they are still a game under 500, but these last two games have been pretty good. So let's go ahead and break down the stats here. There are a couple that I do want to highlight, and you can probably guess what they are. So the shots were 33-23 in favor of Ottawa. Face-off percentage. The Sens did not dominate in the face-off dot tonight, which is actually a bit unusual. So 55.8% for the Flyers and 44.2% for the Sens. Now, the power plays, this is the one I want to highlight, because the Sens coming into tonight, they actually had a pretty good power play. I believe they were top 10 in the league coming into tonight, and their penalty kill was dead last. But tonight, things were completely reversed. So the power plays 0 for 3, the Flyers, and the Sens were 0 for 5, which is not good, but the fact that they were 100% on their penalty kill, that's something we're not really used to seeing so far this season. So yeah, obviously the 0 and 5 is a bit alarming, but when you win the game and your penalty kill is perfect, it's not that big of a deal, is it? And again, their power play has been good so far this season, so you're going to have an off night at some point, but yeah, I just found that really interesting. The special teams, they were kind of reversed tonight, so yeah, there's that. So penalty minutes were 12-8, with the Flyers having the most. Hits were 21-17 in favor of the Flyers. Block shots were even at 16 apiece. Giveaways were 12-11, with the Sens having the fewest, and the takeaways were 4-3 in favor of the Flyers. So these two teams, they'll meet again relatively soon. They'll meet again on November 8th in Philadelphia. So yeah, it was again solid effort. Not definitely not, like I said, not a very high event game. Not a lot of chances. There were definitely chances, but this was a solid win. I was very impressed with this one. So we'll go ahead and dive into the game here. I'll go through my notes. So the game didn't start off well. So we're 29 seconds into the game. The Flyers get their first shot and it goes in. So it didn't look good in the first 30 seconds. So Forster would end up walking in and he would wrist one and he would score on the very first shot of the game, 29 seconds in to the first period. So Konechny and Couturier getting the assist there at the 29-second mark. So right away you're thinking, okay, it's going to be a long night, right? But little did I know that was the only blemish that Ullmark had tonight. So Yeah, there's that. And the Sens have now allowed the first goal in 7 out of 8 games so far this season. They gotta fix that, man. That's a problem. That is a big problem. They've only scored first once this season, so they really gotta work on that. Just the slow starts have been, uh, they've been killing them. Thankfully, it didn't hurt them too much tonight, but yeah, so the Sens had just one shot at about 6.5 minutes into the game, and again, just a slow start. They are a very slow starting team. We know this, obviously. Again, allowing the first goal 7 out of 8 games. Um, the Sens, again, slow start. They do start shooting finally, so Giroux would gain the zone and he would feed Michael Amadio, who was left all alone in the slot, and he would score his first goal of the regular season. I'm not sure why I said regular season, but the season. So Michael Amadio would score, like I said, his first goal of the season at the 7:57 mark of the first period. The assist going to Giroux and Zub. So we have a tie game. So, okay, we're starting to feel a little bit better because the Sens are getting chances. They're starting to shoot. So it's starting to feel a bit more even. So there was a penalty by Philadelphia. The Sens coming into tonight had a power play goal in 5 straight games. So that streak, of course, ended tonight. So again, their power play it's been kind of on a roll. So of course you're going to have an off night at some point, and I guess tonight just happened to be that off night. So really not a big deal when you win the game, right? So so yeah, they would go to the power play. There was a one-timer by Stützle. That was a pretty good save on Vladar on that play. And so what happened, Nick Cousins would end up running over Vladar. I didn't really see what happened at real time. I saw him go into Vladar, but I'm thinking like, what the heck? Did he just go in there on his own? Was he pushed in? So on the replay, you could see that Vladar was just, he went behind the net to play the puck, and he was coming back in front of the net, like to go back to his net, and Cousins just ran into him. So he's just not paying attention. I don't know. He was looking at something else, just not aware of where Vladar was. But nonetheless, it was kind of just a careless penalty there. So the Flyers would get a power play out of that, and the Sens would kill it. Of course, there were no power play goals tonight. So there you go. Then there was a tripping penalty by Michkov. There were some good chances by the Sens, and I don't know what happened tonight. The Sens, Allmark had a really good game, obviously. So the Sens would go to the power play here. Then again, they had some good chances, a few good shots, but Sanderson would fan on a shot, and it led to a breakaway for Michkov coming out of the box. But thankfully, he would end up missing the net. So that's not the only time that happened tonight. You'll find out later. So, yeah, they escaped that one. So Owen Tippett would come flying down the wing. I knew Tippett was a fast skater, but oh my God, they showed a stat during the game. I think it was most 35-kilometer-an-hour bursts last season, and Tippett was up there with like McDavid, McKinnon. I'm like, I didn't realize how fast the guy was, but yeah, he came flying down the wing just around everyone. He takes it to the net, and this was kind of a crazy play, so I thought the puck went in at real time because you could see it kind of fluttering, and to me it looked like it was in. So they showed on the replay it actually didn't go in. It was almost on the line, but not really. It went up in the air, and it kind of landed in like the equipment of Allmark, so it stayed out somehow, but that could have easily gone in. So yeah, that stayed out there. So the shots were 14-9 Ottawa in the first period, so I would say a fairly even first period. This game was pretty even for the most part. Both teams had their moments where they were taking over. But, we're going into the first intermission feeling not too bad. We're tied 1-1, so not too bad. So we do roll on to the second period here. So there was a great chance. I don't know what happened here. There was like a broken play, and the Flyers they were left all alone. I didn't put down what player it was. I'm not sure who it was, but they would actually end up missing the net on this play. I don't know what happened there. That was kind of a bizarre play. Um, the Flyers defender would fall on a play, and it led to a breakaway for Lixell. So this is quite the shift for Lixell, by the way. So he has a breakaway. He is stopped on the breakaway. He's still looking for his first goal of the season at this point. So then, not long after that, there was a play in the slot. Lars Eller makes a nice pass backwards between his legs to Lixell, and he would score. So Ole Lixell scoring his first goal as a Senator against his former team. So again, that was a really nice play by Eller, that between the legs pass. So Lixell would score at the 3:05 mark of the second period, and the assists go to Eller and Jensen. And again, that was a really nice play by Eller there. So that was actually the last goal of the game. So that's it. Review over. I'm kidding, but there was a hooking penalty by Couturier. The Sens were getting shots, but they didn't score. They got some good chances. And then, again, Couturier out of the penalty box has a partial breakaway. And at this point, I'm thinking, guys, like, are you not warning each other, like, when the penalty is about to expire? Like, because that's twice that's happened tonight, where the guy out of the box gets a breakaway. So I don't know what's going on there. I'm like, goodness gracious. But, again, like the Michkov chance in the first period, they didn't get a shot out of this one. But it's like, my goodness, are they not warning the guys when the penalty is about to expire? Like, but they did escape it. So back the other way, Ottawa had a 3-on-1, but they didn't even get a shot. Drives me nuts. Like a 2-on-1, you don't get a shot, but a 3-on-1, you don't get a shot. I mean, come on. But it's I don't know. I feel like both teams definitely could have had a lot more goals, but just missed chances for both teams, some big saves by both goalies, and it ended up being a very low scoring game. So the Sens were getting hemmed in their end, and they were having trouble clearing the puck. I know, how many times have I said that this season already? So one clear led to a near icing, but somehow it just stopped a little bit short. So close call on that. There was a scrum around the Flyers net, and they were offsetting minors to Perron and Sealer. So we actually had some 4-on-4 play. And then on that 4-on-4, during the 4-on-4, Zegras goes for a spinorama, and Jensen would end up tripping him up with his skate. Now, is this the play where... One second. Okay, no, it was later on. So yeah, Jensen would end up tripping Zegras with his skates, so we would have 4-on-3 power play for the Flyers, which is not something you see very often. So go to the power play, and again, no power play goals tonight, so they would not end up scoring. Now during that 4-on-3, Konechny hit Sanderson from behind into the boards. I thought maybe it should have been a penalty. I don't know. I know Sanderson kind of turned as he was getting hit. He turned away from the boards. So that definitely made it not as bad as it could have been, but I think that maybe should have been a call on that play, but it wasn't. They let that one go. So that's pretty much it for the second period. The shots were 9-7 Ottawa in that second period, so still a pretty even game. I mean, it ended up being a pretty even game by the end anyways, but we're feeling pretty good here. So we're going into the second intermission with a 2-1 lead. So we roll into the third period, so that power play would carry over for the Flyers. The Sens would kill it. Sealer would take an interference penalty, and they just they looked slow. The Sens looked really slow on this power play. Again, the power play, yeah, they had some chances, but they're 0 for 5 tonight, which is definitely a little bit alarming. But again, you're going to have an off night. Their power play has been good, so I'm not going to look into that too much. But if this continues, then we'll be having a different discussion. But yeah, they just look really slow on this power play. So there were some shorthanded chances for the Flyers, and I just put not a great looking power play. They really got nothing out of that. So then there was an interference penalty on Zub, and then Zegras would take a tripping penalty. And on this play, Zegras hurt his wrist. He would stay in the game. To my knowledge, I think he's okay, but this was a almost a very scary incident. So he got a skate hit his wrist, but the blade came very close to hitting his wrist. Thankfully, it didn't, so he was okay. Again, as far as I know, Zegras is okay. Obviously, you never want to see anything close to that happen to a player. So yes, he was okay. He would stay in the game. But that penalty that Zegras would take that ended the Philadelphia power play. So Ottawa had a couple of good chances. Perron was wide open with the puck. This was a weird play. I'm not sure what Perron was doing here. Uh, he has the puck. He has a clear chance to shoot it, but he skates behind the net with the puck. So I don't know what he was doing there. And then he tried to bank it in. It didn't work. But I don't know. Again, the power play didn't look fantastic tonight. Again, 0 for 5, but uh, still, it's a pretty good period for the Sens to this point. The shots were 9-2 Ottawa, and we're about 11 minutes into the period. Flyers just have 2 shots in the period, so they're just playing a really solid shutdown game, and it's nice to see for a team that has given up the most goals in the league. It's nice to see them play, some shutdown hockey for once. So the Flyers just had, to this point, they have nothing going on at all, like no chances, no shots. There was a Sanheim wrist shot, very similar to how the first shot of the game went in, like the same spot on the ice, the same spot on Ullmark, and Ullmark would end up stopping it. So yeah, it was like identical to how the goal was scored. So he would end up saving that. And at this point, I felt like the Sens were sitting back just a little bit too much for my liking. So I'm like, okay, we have the lead here, but the game's not over yet. We're only up by 1, so okay, let's start playing. Let's not sit back so much, but because the Flyers would start getting chances, and this was this was weird and funny. I'm not sure if I've ever seen this before. I'm sure I probably have, but right around the 3-minute mark, I was watching this game on TSN. Around the 3-minute mark, just out of nowhere, a Tim Hortons hockey card commercial appears. Wild play was going on. Like, okay, yep, because we didn't want to watch the game anyways. But that was bizarre. I'm just like, guys, the game is going, the play is still going, and just out of nowhere, here you go, here's a commercial. So I thought that was funny. The commercial was like 10 to 15 seconds long, not very long. It was just that Tim Hortons one with like McKinnon and Crosby and Marchand in it. So I thought that was funny. Thankfully, nothing happened during that commercial. But yeah, it's like, what the heck? What are we doing? But so yeah, the Flyers would end up pulling Vladar. The Sens would ice the puck with 1:27 left. The Flyers would threaten, they would have chances, but they would not end up scoring. And the shots ended up being 10-7 in that third period for Ottawa. And they would end up winning with a score of 2-1 in regulation. So just a solid game. They played a very good shutdown game, especially in that third period. Again, it was impressive. So don't mind me, I got the one of the games on the background here. Colorado and Carolina. So, yeah, very solid game, and again, I would say this is probably the best I have felt after a game this season. This is actually the first time this season the Sens have allowed less than 3 goals in a game. So, that's kind of nice to see for once. So, and again, they gave up 3 in the last game against Edmonton, so yeah, just a very, very solid effort tonight for sure. So, the 3 stars of the game. First star goes to Michael Amadio with 1 goal. He scored his first of the season. Second star goes to Linus Ullmark. He stopped, well, I'll get to the goalie stats in a second here, but he only let in that first shot of the game, and that was it. Well, I guess he made 22 saves, right? 22 out of 23 for a .957 save percentage. It says it right here. And they've also got Thomas Chabot as one of the stars. I'm not sure why Lexell didn't get a star tonight, because he did score the game winner, but I mean, Chabot did have a good game. He had a lot of ice time as well, which, speaking of, I will go ahead and go to the box score. So I'm pretty sure Shabbat had the most ice time. Let's have a look here. So ice time, yeah, he played 26:58. Yeah, that's a lot of ice time. Also a +1, 2 shots, 2 blocks, 2 hits, and a takeaway. No giveaways, so very solid night for Shabbat, definitely. On the defense side, we got Jensen and Zub with an assist each. Jensen was also a +1. And for the forwards, our point getters go to Lexell and Amadio with the goals, and Giroux and Eller with an assist. And yeah, so that's pretty much it for that. Now let's look at shots. Let's see, we have Pinto and Giroux leading the forwards in shots with 4 each. And for the defense, 4 defensemen had 2 shots. So Zub, Matt and Paulo, Shabbat, and Sanderson all had 2 shots. Blocks for defensemen, we got Jensen, Clevin, and Shabbat all with 2. And for the forwards, Ridley Gregg had 4 blocks tonight. And Gregg also had 4 hits. So Gregg led all forwards in blocks and hits. And then hits on the defensive side, we've got Zub, Matt and Paulo, and Shabbat all with 2 hits each. So yeah, there you go. And once again, Allmark's numbers, he stops 22 out of 23 for a .957 save percentage. That is what you want to see if you're a Sens fan. So yeah, solid win. I really can't complain about too much. If I had to look for, I mean, there are definitely things you can nitpick here. Like obviously the 0 for 5 on the power play, you don't want to see that. But the power play, the face-offs as well. The face-offs and power plays, there are 2 things that have been going pretty well for them so far this season. So they had a bit of an off night tonight, but you look on the positive side, I mean, they won the game, obviously. And their penalty kill. Penalty kill was 3 for 3, and I don't think it's a coincidence that their penalty kill was perfect, and they end up winning. So, yeah, solid win. Not too much to complain about. Again, I guess the biggest complaint I would have is the 0 for 5 on the power play, but it's not that big of a deal when you win, right? So, solid win for the Sens, and yeah, that's a good, really solid back-to-back efforts. Again, the last game against Edmonton, I thought they played well, but they ended up losing in overtime. So we'll see if they can get some momentum going here and maybe string some wins together. And yeah, that's pretty much it for that one, guys. So our next game is going to be on Saturday, October 25th at Washington. So they're going back on the road, and that's going to be a 7 p.m. Eastern time. Now, with this game and a few games coming in the near future, I did mention this in the last video, and I'll say it again here. So the Sens will be playing at some point during the World Series games. The World Series games, obviously, they're going to be taking priority for me. So we might have some shorter reviews since I won't be watching a lot of the Sens games while the World Series is going on. It just depends on like start times and all that, but yeah, so do look out for that, and yeah, it's pretty much it, guys. So again, Saturday, October 25th at Washington, 7 p.m. Eastern is the Senators' next game. So the Sens win 2-1 over the Flyers in regulation, and they are now just 1 game under 500. So we'll see if they can get some momentum going, because this was a solid effort tonight for sure. But anyways, that is it for me, guys. Thank you all so much for watching, and go Sens go.